Genesis chapter 12. The Lord said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing." Hebrews chapter 11. By faith, Abraham, when he was called, obeyed by going out to a place which he was to receive for an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. Quran, Surah 4. Who can be better in religion than one who submits his whole self to Allah, does good, and follows the ways of Ibrahim, the true in faith? For Allah did take Ibrahim for a friend. Turkey, where history meets mystery. A virtual tour with Jim Willis and Dr. Mickey Pistorius. Part 5, Şanliurfa, the center of 3 religious traditions. Abraham, Ibrahim. By whatever name he is called, he is considered to be the spiritual father of 12 million Jews, 2 billion Christians, and 1 billion Muslims. Many claim that he was history's first monotheist, and yet, upon closer inspection, it becomes obvious that few people understand him. Oh, they may know some things about him, but aside from a few stories here and there, they don't really know him. Perhaps if they did, his children wouldn't fight so much. He was born into a family that shared a long and rich tradition of wandering and moving across the landscape, although never very far from an urban center of trade. They were given various labels: Aramaean, Aramu, Arabu, that eventually coalesced into the word Arab. Although the Bible does not specify exactly the place of his birth, many Jews and Christians have concentrated on Ur-Kasdim, or Ur of the Chaldeans. That would put him down in Mesopotamia. But the great rabbinic scholar Moses Nachmanides argued that his true place of birth was further north, in the land near Haran. Muslims unequivocally claim that honor for the city of Urfa, modern Şanliurfa, in Turkey. Abraham's early history is fragmented but colorful. In just a few short Bible verses and a plethora of legends, we can piece together a tapestry of incidents that do more to arouse curiosity than answer questions. He's said to have been born into a family that earned its daily bread by making and selling pagan idols. A strange beginning for one who is said to be the father of monotheism. At the ripe, young age of 75, he heard the voice of God calling him to submit and follow the command of the Almighty. In only a few Bible verses, we are told that he gathered up his family and set out for the land of Canaan, some 300 miles to the south, whereupon he promptly continued on to Egypt, almost caused an international incident, returned to Canaan, circumcised himself, no easy task, fathered 2 sons, abandoned one of them, set out to sacrifice the other before he was stopped at the last minute by divine intervention, fought a great war, and at its conclusion, along with the mysterious Melchizedek, instituted the custom of tithing and participated in the first communion meal of bread and wine 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. He then bought some land, buried his wife, started another family, and lived to the age of 175. Along the way, he managed to unknowingly entertain 2 angels who were on their way to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. With all this activity to his credit, is it any wonder that his name appears so often in the Hebrew Bible, the Christian New Testament, and the Islamic Quran? All this took place after the former Abram submitted to the will of God. With that simple act of faith, he became Abraham, which means father of a multitude. Through his son Ishmael, with whom he is said to have built the Kaaba in Mecca, greatest of all holy Islamic sites, he formed the basis of what would later become the faith of Islam. Through Isaac, his second son, descended the 12 tribes of Israel and their spiritual offspring, Christianity. Şanliurfa, along with the nearby ruins of Haran, is often called the home of the patriarchs. It is not just known for being the dwelling place of Abraham, it is a place of prophets. Job himself, famous for his patience and his own submission to the will of God, is said to have faced his travails there. Jacob, after his fallout with Esau, fled back to his grandfather's home country of Haran to escape his brother's wrath. There he married the women who would give birth to the 12 patriarchs of Judaism. Not very distant is Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark is said to have concluded its first and only voyage. The Garden of Eden is not far away, at the headwaters of the Tigris and the Euphrates. One might think that Şanliurfa and Haran came into their own during biblical times. After all, the city of prophets and the Jerusalem of Anatolia certainly implies that. But the significance of this area goes back much further in time. This location marks quite simply the birth of our civilization. It is here that agriculture and animal husbandry came into their own. It took the discovery of Göbekli Tepe to unveil the truth, but civilization did not begin downriver at Sumer or along the Nile in Egypt. The art of agriculture was discovered and developed right here in Anatolia. That discovery led to the biggest change in human development the world has ever seen. It made possible cities, trade, settled occupations, writing, division of labor, disputes over land, wars, which led to traffic, morning commutes, ecological disasters, global corporations, and the other comforts of civilization we all seem to hold dear. This is the place where it all began. In one cultural quantum leap, and in a very short time, we moved from the Stone Age onto the path that led to modernity. Was there ever a historic figure known as Abraham who woke up one morning and heard the voice of God? Or is he a composite mythological figure representing a number of men whose lives were intertwined into one compelling story? For that matter, did he, or those who may have inspired his story, ever exist at all? Whatever the answer, he is at the center of 3 worldwide monotheistic faith traditions. If he never existed in reality, He would probably have had to have been invented. Maybe that's why Şanliurfa and its surrounding environs are so important. Maybe they are not infused with the person of Abram or Abraham or Ibrahim. Maybe what folks hear is his echoing story. He is not remembered because he was a god, precisely the opposite. He is remembered because he was not a god. He was the prototypical human being who launches out on faith, who leaves the safe confines of where he feels comfortable in order to strive for something better just over the horizon. In doing so, he submits his life to a new concept, a new understanding, a new way of experiencing the holy. Abraham was not a Jew. If he lived at all, it was long before the time of Moses. He was not a Christian. He preceded Jesus by some 2,000 years. He was not a Muslim. The Prophet Muhammad's vision was still 2,500 years in Ibrahim's future. No, his story reveals a flawed man rather than that of a saint. But his is the story in which is captured the hopes and dreams of us all. And that story began in Şanliurfa.